Commissioners, ready? Welcome. Welcome, regular session of Nogales Housing Authority's Board of Commissioners meeting, 5 p.m., Wednesday, January 7, 2026, City Hall Council Chambers. Call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Vice Mayor, would do us the honors.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. No call to the public. Presentations. Go ahead, Ms. Armendariz.
Good evening. Okay, I would like to introduce our auditor, Ben Hur. Ben is with Fester and Chapman, and he has been working closely with us to get the audit together. He is here today to present the audit findings, recommendations, and answer any questions you guys may have. So let me welcome Ben Hur. The microphone's all right.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Ben Hur. I'm with the Fester and Chapman's, the audit firm, CPA firms from the Scottsdale. We have performed the financial statements and the single audit for the Housing Authority of City of Nogales for the fiscal year ended March 31st of 2025. Here is the summary and result of the audit. Before I jump into the prepared financial statements presentations, I would like to extend the appreciations to the management and the board for your support and the assistance for the audit. And with that help, we were able to successfully complete the audit. And here is the result. I believe you have we have issued three reports from this audit. And this presentation is basically, first part of the presentation is the summary of the audit result. And the second part of that is basically financial overview of the Housing Authority from the audited financial statements. So we issued a financial statements audit report along with a single audit when the non-federal agents receiving more than $750,000 of federal fundings, and it is a single audit is required. So we actually performed the single audit to make sure the Housing Authority is compliance with the single audit requirements. Along with that, we also have what is called a report to the Board of Directors. For these cases, for the Board of the Commissioners, basically reports what had happened during the audit process, along with some other significant communication required for the auditors. First, as you expected, this is the financial statement audit results. We have performed the audit in accordance with the government auditing standards required for the auditors, and along with general accepted accounting principles, GAAP, to make sure financial statements are presented fairly in all material aspects, and that we actually have a modified opinion, which is kind of cleanest opinion you can get from this type of audit. However, we actually have reported one findings called the material weaknesses as part of internal controls over the financial reporting. For the single audit, as I mentioned, the authority receiving the federal fundings, we have selected these two programs. One is FAL listing numbers 14850 Public Housing Operating Fund, basically, and then another one is 14872 Public Housing Capital Funds. So these two programs are considered as the two separate major program for auditors requires for the tested, and then we actually complete our testings. There was no finding reported on these two programs regarding internal control over compliance and the compliance itself with as a major program. Report to the Board of Commissioners, as I mentioned earlier, this is the required communication from the auditors to the board, make sure what we actually had any major issues, like no difficulty encounters during the performance of audit. There was no disagreement with the management. That's basically we reported here, along with some other sensitive estimates used during the for the financial statements, and some significant disclosures is actually noted in that communication. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also noted that there was one material weaknesses was in the financial reporting was noted during our audit. This is second part of the audit. So basically, this is a summary of the financial position, net positions of the authority as of the March 31st of 2025. Total asset and deferred outflows of the $12 million were reported. That basically made up of the $8.1 million of the property and equipment, roughly about $3.4 million of cash and cash equivalents. In liability and deferred inflow side, there was roughly $2.5 million was included, and then $1.5 million of the debt liabilities were related to non-current employee benefit, basically pension and OPEB liabilities. And then there was about $0.5 million of current payables was reported for the financial statements, which resulted in the authority's net positions of $9.5 million. Out of that, roughly $8 million is related to the capital asset after consideration of any corresponding debts. And then unrestricted net asset of the $1.5 million is reported in financial statements. This is the overall summary of the revenues for the housing authorities during the 2025. Total revenue of $4.3 million were reported in the financial statements, which is made up of the $2 million of operating grants from the HUD and another $1.2 million of capital grants. Total of roughly 77% actually of the revenue came from the grants for the housing authorities, and then about the $0.9 million of the rent incomes was reported, which is about 20% of the revenue. Expense side, total of $3.3 million for expenses were reported. Out of that, $1.1 million, roughly about 33% of the expenses were related to the housing assistance payments, which is basically Section 8 voucher program payments, and then 0.7% were related to the maintenance operations, and $0.5 million was related to depreciation expenses. So that is actually the end of my presentations. And then, yeah, if you have any questions to me, I'm happy to answer to that questions.
Commissioners, anybody have any questions? Mr. Hur, in a general view, how do you see our operations within the finance?
So one thing I just kind of want to really emphasize on this audit is when we actually took over this audit about 3 years ago, one major challenges was not be able to meet the required timeline for the audit. So this year's again, we actually be able to issue not just only the audit to the finance system itself, but the other required submissions to the HUD was completed before the required deadline. So I think that was the one things I wanted to point it out as a good progress developments. And then also last year's we actually had some comments. It's not necessarily as findings as a comments to suggest that internal controls related to the IT environments for the housing authorities. And then during this year's audit, we were just kind of be able to note that those issues not issues actually, the recommendation was actually resolved, and then we did not have that as a recommendation anymore.
Thank you. Commissioner Para?
I just have a comment. That is amazing news. I know there was a lot of time, effort, and congratulations, Ms. Almada. She did amazing. Thank you for the presentation.
Right.
Wow, I'm going to be proud.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Hur, on the chart that you have there, it says operating grants. Are you talking about subsidy?
Yeah, basically, you have two main grants from the HUD. One is a public and Indian housing grants, and then the other one is Section 8. This is the operating grants is indicating basically the public and Indian housing programs.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Sure. Thank you. Great job.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mendez, financial report?
May I say something really quickly? Also, Terry's here. I just want to recognize Terry. Terry, thank you so much for doing a great job. I know you held your own, even when there's not a director there. And it's nice to know that people are doing their job, even when there's not a director there. So I know that they're all working together as a team. So thank you, Terry, and your whole staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Montiel.
Yeah, I was about to thank Terry and Miguel. They both actually, when Maritza left and I came aboard, they've been invaluable, especially Terry for everything. Terry knows how to run it and just can answer all the questions. Thank you. Okay, moving on. I want to show a quick little video of some of the Christmas activities we did. And I know it's past Christmas, but it's still kind of nice. Let me start this. Okay, so let me just exit this. So this year we had a few Christmas activities in the Housing Authority. The first one we had was we partnered with some outside agencies and had the care boxes. And that was, we put together care boxes. And I say we, but basically it was the entire housing department who, with the help of Mayor Maldonado, who purchased all the boxes for us, as he does every year, to put all the stuff. So we had donations from Croppers, from South 32, and a few other kids would help. But basically what we did was we put boxes, literal boxes, like moving boxes together with items and food from the food bank, scarves, some mittens, some little hoodies, and we took them to the elderly community and age 62 and above. That's a little scary, but yeah. And we did the Bowman Center and all the units. We had Santa Claus, and they went around to all the elderly and gave them a care box. And there was a few others that we made extras. There's a few other people that would ask. We would just give them one. They weren't part of our group, but we gave them to them as well. And then the second activity we did this year was, this was just internally in the office, we made candy bags for all the kids in our units. And VS Market donated a lot of candy this year. So we made little candy bags, and we put little fuzzy socks in there. And we had Santa Claus dress up, and we went to all the units. And it was not just the kids, we went kinder through seniors, through all the high schools. So we kind of thought that one over, but they're kids too in heart. So we all gave them candy bags and had Santa Claus go to all the units this year. So we did that this year for Christmas, which was really nice. Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on. So moving on to our housing choice voucher. And just as a reminder, we have two different programs. We have the public housing, and then we have the housing choice vouchers. In the housing choice vouchers, we currently have 186 vouchers out there, which is 92% of occupancy. So HUD recommends we have 98 occupancy rate. So right now it's kind of a an interesting time for us to be leasing. They're recommending we stop leasing even though we still have vouchers, just because of the new regulations that are coming about. And so they're recommending, had sends out notices, they're called PIC notices, and they recommend that we don't put out any more vouchers, that we don't lease to anybody else. So we keep what we have, and we're not going to be leasing anymore for the housing choice vouchers. We have 235 applicants on the waiting list. And out of those 235 applicants, 9 of them have vouchers. So what does that mean? That means that those 9 people that have vouchers, that have been on the waiting list, that have interviewed and are qualified, they're not going to get a house, they're not going to get an apartment because we can't give them a lease anymore. Yeah, and basically they've taken so long that we have to stop it anyways. So those numbers are going to be stagnant for a while until we get a different directive. In the second department, if you will, it's the public housing. And the public housing, we have 98% occupancy, and the HUD target rate there is 100%. We have 145 applicants on the waiting list, and only 3 units that are ready to lease. So there will be 142 on the waiting list because we won't have any units ready, able to lease for them. We purged the public housing, and those are the new numbers with the purging. Any questions? Any questions?
On the housing voucher, choice vouchers, is that going to be a negative against the city? People seeing it negatively that we're not pushing for more housing?
So nobody really notices the numbers. People go in. Right now, the waiting lists are closed just because we have so many on the waiting list. So they can't sign up for it anyways. So I don't think it's going to have a effect at all.
Okay.
Just those people that would like houses and they're not going to get any.
Okay.
But I think that's always been an issue. There's never been enough housing for people.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So with our grants, we have grants, we have a 2022 grant, 2023, 2024, 2025 grant that we're working off. We're finished together, it's 974,237 that we have available with all those grants. So right now we're finishing up 2022, and that's very little. We should finish that up next week, and then we'll continue to finish up 2023 grant. So we work on the oldest grants up to the newer ones. Questions on any of those grants? No? Okay. Yeah. So basically, everything's looking good. We're doing a great job. The staff has been there forever. They know their job perfectly inside and out. So really, really want to thank Terry again for everything she does. Yeah.
On the grants, you said we're now working on 24,
No, we're finishing up 22.
22?
And we are simultaneously working on 23. So those will be done soon.
Okay.
We'll close them out, and then we'll start working on expending the money on 23.
We gotta have them allocated, right?
Pretty much. Everything works off the 5-year plan that was signed last year. And in your agenda, we also have the annual plan for this year. But that annual plan that we have is part of the 5-year plan. And all the expenses from these grants are from the 5-year plan. We make modifications if we need. So the annual plan has, perhaps it says paving, but it doesn't specify where that paving is going to go. So we could make those modifications. If we want a huge change, we have to come back to you guys and get it approved. But everything else are just internal decisions.
Thank you. That's it?
That's it.
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Edmond.
Yeah, of course.
Next, we open to a public hearing. Number one, public hearing on the PHA annual plan for fiscal year 2026. Anybody have any comment?
So I just want to quickly say that the purpose of the public hearing is to give the community that opportunity to express their opinion or dissatisfaction, if you will, on any item. This is the time for them to do that.
Yes. With that said, I need to close it, right? We close the public hearing. Next, we go to housing resolution. One, consideration possible action of housing resolution 2026-01-001. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authorities of the City of Nogales approving and adopting the PHA annual plan for fiscal year 2026. Motion?
So move.
Any discussion? All in favor? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes.
You already answered the question that I had. I'm sorry. You already answered the question that I had on the annual plan. You said it was already included in the 5-year plan, right?
Yes.
So there's no changes or additions to that one, to the 2026 plan?
It's as is.
It's the same as presented in the 5-year plan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. With that said, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number two, consideration possible action of housing resolution 2026-01-002. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authorities of the City of Nogales approving and writing off all outstanding checks exceeding 90 days. Any comments? Do you have a calculated amount that we're writing off on these?
So there isn't a calculated amount. The checks that have been not cashed were void checks. So there isn't any amount that we're going to write off.
Okay.
Correct, Ms. Ibarra?
Good. Okay. Thank you. With that said, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Consideration and possible action on housing resolution 2026-01-003. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authorities of the City of Nogales approving a submittal of the annual independent audit prepared and submitted by Fester and Chapman PLLC for the fiscal year ending in March 31st, 2025. Any discussion? I think it was already presented, and thank you for having them, work on a timely manner. So thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any future agenda items? No? That's it. Move to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.